Episode 4 of Apple TV's latest dystopian series, Silo, has just hit our screens. Is the series still keeping its pace, and have the characters piqued our interest? Let's find out. Spoilers ahead as always, as we explain Episode 4, Truth. Episode 4 sees Juliet stepping into her new role as sheriff, and the effects that this has around the silo. The first half of the episode is limited in its action, as it focuses more on the character development of Juliet, in particular as we see a 13-year-old version of her. The initial introduction of her 11-year-old brother Jacob and her mom does raise a lot of questions though. Why were they saving Jacob? Were they saving him from drowning, as we see some form of asphyxiation has happened? Could this somehow explain Juliet's irrational fear of water? In episode 2 she mentions that humans sink to the bottom. With no mention of pools in the silo, we are left to wonder how she knows this information. We assume it would be taught in school, but with so much information lost in the war, it's hard to believe they would teach something they will never experience. We are told that Jacob later dies, but why? And where is Juliet's mother? I don't think we'll find the answers to these anytime soon. However, I would love to see this backstory develop more, especially around the disappearance of Juliet's family. Did they go outside the silo and have to endure the moments of cleaning before death? Or did they die some other way? Maybe they just went to the shop and never came back. A nice thought here is that her mom is still around, but left to go work for the judicial system after being tormented by the death of Jacob and now seeks justice, which also explains the tension between her mother and father. Juliet is then called to the office as Deputy Marnes struggles with the loss of Mayor Jones. Her bloody body left on the floor as the two main suspects get their stories straight and take themselves off Marnes' radar, with Deputy Marnes stating rat poison has been used. Bernard has been temporarily appointed mayor of the silo. Was this one of his objectives to begin with? And does this act of honour make him suspect number 1? He's on my radar, as later in the episode Sims drops this unnerving line.
What they say, Sam, you want to lose something forever, give it to data management.
They drop a lot of subtle hints throughout the episode, alluding to the secrets that might be coming ahead. I'm predicting a group of people, similar to that of the Murder of the Orient or Hot Fuzz. The main plot of the story throughout this episode is about Juliet stepping into her role and trying to uncover the truth about George. Not only are we given flashbacks about who she is and the choices in life that have made her the person she is today, but we are also given a glimpse into some familiar characters like Martha and Knox, as well as understanding more about life in the silo, which I thought kept the pace well. And although action was reduced in this episode, the backstories and character development were told in a way that kept us intrigued as a viewer. The constant mystery of the show stemming around relics like the hard drive or the video camera are brilliant additions to the show. It's not oversold in a way that takes the appeal away, but they still tease them enough to keep them at the forefront of our minds. Towards the end of the episode, however, things start to heat up. We hear a brief conversation with Martha and Juliet, with Martha asking if Juliet has made an ally and informing her of her latest endeavours with the camcorder, all while Deputy Marnes listens in. Will this cause friction between the two, or does this show Marnes Juliet actually trusts in him and she cares about the real truth? Following this scene, we are shown a quick clip of Martha managing to activate the device with what looks to be a projector on it. Unfortunately, the content is not revealed to us yet. It just leads us to ask more questions. What is on the device? And will Martha be murdered before she can spill the beans? Before we get to Halston's truth though, Deputy Marnes is attacked by an unknown assailant. Marnes looks like he has the upper hand until finally he is face to face with the barrel of a shotgun. With the scene ending here, leading us to question if we'll be seeing Marnes again next week. As the episode is named, we finally get the truth that was left behind by Sheriff Halston, potentially hinted at from a note he left behind. The truth comes in the form of a hard drive, we assume, but with George no longer on the scene, who will be able to decode this? Can she trust the temp Mayor Bernard, or will she reach out to Martha? She seems to be in a position where death is following her, so she may need to be careful. Either way, she has a huge challenge ahead. Overall, this episode was great, throwing some scenes with action in, but mainly making our brains work as we attempt to unravel the main mysteries thrown our way. One of the main things I did notice throughout the episode were the subtle references to the attempts of suicide. First with Juliet asking if Marnes had a gun, before then telling him there are other things it can be used for. This scene lingered here for a moment. With the disappearance of her mother, I started to wonder if that's what happened to her. There are 2 more scenes where suicide mention popped up, and that was when Deputy Marnes made a makeshift punching bag. For a brief moment, the camera was angled in such a way as they normally do when showing a scene like this. Finally, the scene on the balcony of the silo, with the post saying do not climb over or dangle things over the edge. With suicide being against the pack, I think there's a possibility we may see Marnes alive next week, but with the unknown attacker attempting to make it look like Marnes has tried to kill himself, hence all the references used throughout. Finally, my last theory of the episode. When Julie takes on the role of sheriff, she is given new clothes, and is told others will be ready soon. This started to raise questions for me. We have seen a brief glimpse of the farming level of the silo. How are they able to keep making UV lights in order for the crops to grow? They obviously do recycle a lot of metal they find. However, there are talks of being sent to the mines. Does this mean the silo is conveniently set by ore deposits? Or are they mining for something else? Finally, we would assume these mines are not airtight. So does that mean we can expand the reach of the silo underground? If so, why has this not been done before? Keep an eye out for our silo cast later in the week, where myself and Ben deep dive into some of these questions and try to predict the serial killer of the show. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and let us know who you think the killer is. What are your thoughts on the theories I've thrown out there at the moment? And as always, we'll catch you next time with something new.